Yo, Thought Warriors. What is up? Higher Learning is on. It is I, Van Lathan Jr.
And it's me, Rachel Lynn Lindsay. Okay, for those who are listening, Van, first off, we've been talking 5 minutes before, maybe 10. Van has not sat down. He's got the mic in his hand like he's about to take the stage. What is this energy you bring it back from DC?
First of all, I want to say shout out to DC. I want to say shout out to everybody in DC. I want to say shout out to everyone out there in DC. I fuck with DC heavy, man. DC is my favorite chocolate city in all of America. New Orleans, Baton Rouge, chocolate cities. I love them in my heart. They don't count. But of all the cities where black people are running shit, DC is my favorite one, man. Shout out to DC. Shout out to the Mumbo Sauce. Shout out to everything that's out there, man. Shout out to Hamilton. Shout out to everybody in DC. Shout out to the people at CNN. Catch me on the United States of Scandal. You know what I mean? Shout out to Jake fucking Tapper. Shout out to everything that we doing out there in DC, the way we making it happen.
Okay. Well, we're glad you're back. We're glad you had a good time. Now that you've finished shouting everybody else out, can we do higher learning? Can we focus on higher learning? Ashley, do you feel like an afterthought?
Yes.
Because that's what it's starting to feel like.
I apologize.
Okay.
Here's the rule.
Because I'm about to be like, go back to DC.
I told you guys the apology rule.
What's that?
My rule about apologies is once I apologize, that's it.
You got it.
That's it. I apologize. That's it. Rachel, you got a big interview coming up on this episode.
Yeah. Holding it down solo for higher learning. No, big interview with, I did hold it down. Big interview with Stacey Abrams, who's a friend of the show. We've had her before. She's always doing something, always got boots on the ground. There's always something to talk to her about because she's a woman who truly doesn't stop fighting for the people. She's a woman of the people. This time she's promoting her new podcast, dropped Thursday, today. I was recording this on Thursday. Assembly Required. It's on Crooked Media. And she is breaking down all the questions that we have, to be honest with you. I mean, in this first episode, she's talking about the Electoral College, how antiquated rules and laws that exist. She's answering questions from, I don't want to say too much, but she's brought a family member on who's 18, got the right to vote, who has a lot of questions trying to understand her new role as she's now has the privilege, the right to vote. And it's just really interesting. And she's got a lot of great upcoming episodes on the podcast. And she sits down and she talks with everything. We talked to her about that. We talked to her about Vice President Kamala Harris. We asked her about what the campaign's biggest struggles are going to be, what she thinks they need to do. She talks about some laws that she thinks need to be changed, some rules about this antiquated system that exists within our democracy. She doesn't shy away from anything. So it's a really good interview. Good interview.
Cannot wait for everybody to hear it. I think Stacey Abrams is a worthwhile American political figure. She's done so much already. She's accomplished so much. You know, I'll say something about Stacey. There are a lot of people who you want to believe in, and then there are a lot of people that you want to support. Wanting to believe in someone is hoping that they can do the things that they want to do. Supporting someone is someone who's putting your energy behind someone who's already done the things that they said that they could do. Stacey Abrams is the second one. She's been fighting a lifelong battle to turn people out to vote. She was, to me, shafted down there. But she continues to fight the good fight, which tells me it's not about Stacey Abrams. Mm-hmm. It's about the end goal. I respect Stacey Abrams. I respect
Absolutely.
You, I respect
Do
you.
you? Do you?
Yeah, look at this.
Well, you gave me a thumbs down on the screen, so it doesn't feel that way.
I didn't do that on purpose.
I just learned what you can do with this kind of stuff.
Okay,
Hold
tell
on.
me. Let's do it.
Wait.
It's not working.
Wait.
It's not working. It's not working. Nothing's happening.
Somebody
You can't.
showed
Oh,
me.
but look at this. Watch me. I'll do it. Boom. It fucks with me. You know
Okay,
what I'm
well
saying?
maybe
Watch
it's
this.
my
this.
screen.
Oh, balloons
Okay.
in your motherfucking face. It fucks with me. It's not fucking with you. It's not fucking with you.
What's
Stop.
happening?
It's not fucking with you. It's not fucking with you. Look, here's a peace sign.
Do
Here come
not
the balloons. Where my balloons at? Where my balloons at, nigga? Like, it's fucking with me. It's not. Look at this. Well, thumbs up. Give it to me. Give me my thumbs up. Give me my thumbs up. Come on, fellas. God damn it.
I'm done.
Lots
All
of
right.
to talk
Thought
about.
I was going to show you something.
On the other side of the break, Trump, Elon Musk talked on X. I don't mean to trigger people, but we have to start the show with it. Let's do it. Rachel, Trump and Elon Musk were on X and they had a conversation, a Spaces conversation. You know, for some reason, when this was announced, I thought that this would be some sort of Elon Musk sit down in the same vein that we saw him sit down with Don Lemon, but it wasn't that.
Did you have high expectations for, other than the visual, the setup, did you have high expectations, or was there something you were walking into this with that you thought you would walk away with? And like, because in my opinion, I expected this to be a hot mess, and that's exactly what it was. I had it wasn't anything that piqued my interest. I didn't think we were going to gain anything from it. I felt like this was going to be somebody talking into a mirror. They're they differ on some things, but for the moment, they're two people who are egotistical who love to hear themselves talk.
I do think that I get what you're saying, and it's true. I do think that there are some interesting storylines inside the Trump campaign right now. Obviously, this is the roughest patch that they've had in this particular campaign season. Really,
yeah.
I'd venture to say that this is the roughest patch that Donald Trump has had as a political figure ever. And that includes any of the stuff that happened. No, you'd have to say the immediate aftermath of January 6th, when everyone temporarily disavowed themselves of him and all of that stuff. That's probably worse. But as far as a campaigner, it's unraveling. Things are terrible. Things are bad. Things are, and so there's a curiosity there about whether or not the Trump campaign will stay the course in some of their attacks, their ad hominem attacks on Kamala Harris against the campaign, or whether they will pivot to making a substantive case to the American people about why Trump should get another 4 years in the White House. And that's not what they did. And that's not what they're doing. And it was fucked up. They were speaking for 2 hours. They had every type of problem that you could have. They had tech problems because it continued to shut down, which Elon Musk blamed on someone attacking the technology of X. They had problems as far as understanding Trump because he seemed to be slurring his speech. And he continued down the same path that he's been down for the last couple of weeks with his ad hominem attacks, with this really difficult word salad that he spouts off when he gets into his Trumpiness. Now it seems to be more unintelligible than ever. And I know a little something about unintelligible speech. Okay, and he's passed me up. And overall, it was the hot mess that you thought that it was going to be. And you wonder who's pushing the panic button over there in the Trump campaign.
I think if you're going to hop on board with Trump, then you do whatever he tells you to do. It seems like that's the type of campaign that he's running, which is why there's so much turnover and inconsistency within the campaign. I think he's running the show when it comes to that. And it seems like he very rarely listens to anybody else. But I think part of the reason, this was billed as, there would be no interruption. This was raw. This was, you're getting Trump. You're going to see Trump in a way that you don't get to see him. And we saw him. We saw him do what he always does. Say a lot of things, as you said, word salad that have no meaning, spew insults, make false statements. And there was no pushback from Elon Musk in this. Even if there was, they might
So a little bit.
disagree on certain things. They might disagree a little bit,
Yeah.
but not the way that there should have been. Of course, there was no fact checking in a sense, but also I do want to say I thought was interesting. This did start late, very similar to the NABJ. And when he hopped on to talk about them, he criticized Black people about their technology and how they didn't have it together, but didn't seem to do that for Elon Musk. I mean, they're blaming it on a cyber attack, but at the end of the day, we know that's not what that was.
Cyber attack. Musk a couple of times tried to nudge Trump. He's talked about climate change. He said he didn't want to vilify the oil and gas industry, but he wanted to push Trump and the world to accept sustainability as a strategy to deal with some of the real environmental challenges that we have coming forward. I think that this is a lot more interesting to me from the Elon Musk side of it than it is for the Trump side of it. Elon Musk has, increasingly weaponized X. This is Trump coming back to X. I guess that in and of itself is interesting, being that he had basically stayed on Truth Social, which he has a huge financial interest in trying to build it up. It's a large portion of his portfolio right now is this whole Trump media situation that he's doing. People are losing money hand over fist. It's crazy how badly that enterprise is doing for him. But he comes back to X and he falls into the welcoming arms of Elon Musk, who has now basically completely pulled the shroud back on himself in the last year as a right-wing Trump sycophant. He went from being, to many people, this trailblazing thought leader, this futurist, to really just being another Donald Trump Jr. Elon Musk is basically Donald Trump Jr. With Tesla stock. It's the same fucking thing. It's like it's cool, and so he's doing this entire thing, and it's all to sniff at the throne of Trump, which is interesting to me. So many people want to sniff at the throne of Trump, and Elon Musk is just another one of them. And this was Trump's coronation, his digital coronation at X, and it didn't really seem to go well. X is failing in every single way. X, in a lot of ways, represents what happens to something when it becomes MAGAized. The X that we're in now, when it becomes MAGAized.
I think that Elon Musk sucks up to Trump or wants to touch the hem of his garment because he wants access, and he stated that he would, I forgot what specific role he said, but he would want a role within the government, within his administration. And Musk has said multiple times that he doesn't really believe in regulations, that he believes that there are things that you can circumvent, that you can get around. So just imagine someone, I think he wants access to that power so he can do more to circumvent these rules and regulations that he doesn't believe should exist. I think the reason that someone like a Musk turns to Trump is because he sees that that's his pathway to have certain access that he's not going to get when he supports the other side. It's all a self-interest, very similar to J.D. Vance. Not for the same reasons, but the reason he changed his tune is because he wants access to a higher power. He was never going to get that staying in the place, or maybe it would take longer, staying in the position that he was in before. The other reason this was a disaster is because two other things came out of this. United Auto Workers have filed a federal labor charge against Donald Trump and Elon Musk because they believe that part of the conversation was threatening workers on this platform. And yes, it was. And then a Democratic Political Action Committee has filed a complaint as well with the FEC because they said the fact that there was a technology issue at the beginning. And so ex-workers had to use their staff to do something to help Trump's campaign to be on this platform. And I'm saying this, I know I'm jumbling up as I'm saying this. You can read about this in more detail, that violates campaign laws.
So the direct thing that Trump said that threatened workers was he uh, basically complimented Elon Musk because he said there was a union
Right.
issue at Tesla and that Elon Musk, rather than deal with the union people, he just fired everyone. Trump was like, I'll pat on the back for that. And, if you are pro-union, the right is trying to position themselves as being a pro-labor party, and you hear something like that, that's Trump directly complimenting crushing union organization as a tactic to circumvent the power of the worker. I will say this, though, as far as Elon Musk's access. Elon Musk has always had a very close relationship with the government.
But not a
Very
title.
close.
I know.
Not a title. But what I would say is I tend to think that this is an emotional thing from Elon Musk. I mean, I'm sure he wants, deregulation. What dyed-in-the-wool billionaire doesn't want deregulation? Ha, ha, ha. Oh, you gotta know how to hold them. Know how to fold them up when you deregulate. Okay. So I'm sure he wants that, but he's heavily subsidized. A lot of his quote unquote success comes from his relationships and the very heavy government subsidies when we're talking about SpaceX and different stuff like that. So he gets a lot of money for the government. For him to be so, I don't know, right wing, he's really on the teat of the U.S. government. That goes back some time. I tend to believe, although your points are well taken, I tend to believe that Elon Musk is pouting. He's going through a long-term pout.
Okay.
Right? And when powerful white men pout, they're like Bill Maher pouting, Elon Musk pouting. When powerful white men pout, they seek to strangle the things that they disagree with. Okay. They say, hey, we got to have conversation. We got to do all this. If anything, I would say Elon Musk wants to be more powerful so that he can reshape the world.
Agree.
In the image he thinks it should be in because of his tech bro arrogance. Like his tech bro arrogance is kind of what he wants. I don't necessarily know that there's any substantive changes that he would make if he got some sort of title. I just think he wants the ability, and maybe we're not saying anything different. I just think he wants the ability to remake the world. He wants America to be Tesla. He wants America to be SpaceX. He wants America to be all of these things, that he can fuck with.
Yeah.
But
I think we agree on that.
Yeah. Oh!
Oh
what is this? What the hell kind of bullshit? Who posted this? Boy, let me tell you something. These guys are so fucking corny.
And Elon Musk. No, I don't. Elon Musk shared that.
Rachel.
I don't like it.
You love it.
It made me itch.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it. Ew.
Okay. Let's talk about this. This is very interesting. Simone Biles, Olympic champion. She's been everywhere. Okay. She's doing really well. Her mom is back, her birth mom. Shannon Biles is her name. And she says that she's hopeful one day that she'll be able to have a relationship with her daughter, who is Simone Biles, one of the most famous women on the planet right now. Just had a summer where we crowned her a queen of the culture. She's going to wear one of those crowns forever. Shannon's 52. She had given up Simone and her younger sister to their grandfather and grandmother when the girls were just toddlers. Shannon had some problems with addiction, different problems in her life. She wasn't in a position to raise her daughters, and she hadn't really been around for their youth. And she's hoping now at the age of 52, which is still relatively young, right?
Yeah.
I know other people that are going through these same things with parents, and these parents are much older, that she wants to have some sort of life with her daughters. And she got her ass kicked. This was reported. And she got her ass kicked. Everybody was like, what the fuck? Who the fuck you think you are? After all of these times these girls had to make it by themselves, now you're popping back up like it's the night before the draft. And your kid's about to go number one. But there have been some other people that have said, maybe we're being a little too harsh on Shannon. Rachel, where do you fall?
I mean, I'm in between, right? Part of it is giving Meghan Markle's dad a little bit, right?
Oh,
but when I
that's my
read,
nigga.
when I read,
Hold on.
Why?
Before we move on, real quick,
Why?
I so apologize.
Why?
That white boy right there. I don't know what his politics are. I'm sure they're fucked up, right? But when we used to cover him on TMZ, that motherfucker is straight out of Central Casting. That's my nigga. Go ahead, Rachel.
Wait. I didn't realize it's been that long. Like, I didn't realize you were still working at TMZ when he was popping up.
Oh, when he was doing this thing, for sure.
Always mix up your TMZ years. But it's giving a little bit of that. But as I was reading into it a little bit more, her mom didn't just pop up. It seems like her mom's been trying for a while. I mean, maybe since her Olympic status, but it wasn't just this year, even though this story is coming out where according to her, she's been trying to reestablish a relationship, or establish for the first time a relationship with Simone Biles and her sister. She said the sister she communicates with more, but with Simone, she doesn't have the same type of communication. This is one of those things where it's hard to talk about because we have no idea the family dynamics or the history involved. And, I'm sure the truth lies somewhere between Simone and her mother, but I'm never going to be a fan. I don't care how desperate you are to get the attention of that person. I'm never going to be a fan of you going to the media to do it. I think that does more harm than good. If you're trying to pressure Simone, get public pressure, to get her to have a relationship with you, this is not the way to do it. This is embarrassing to her. It's airing out the family business. And we know one thing in the Black culture is you don't tell the family's business. You don't do that. So to me, I think that whatever steps forward she had taken with Simone, I think she took these steps backwards doing this. In no way do I think that this is going to be beneficial to Simone. I feel sorry for all parties involved, especially that there's a rift in the family. I can only imagine how hard this has been over the years for Simone and her mother and the grandfather and the sister. But this ain't the way to do it. I'm never going to agree with this.
So, obviously, it's not the way to do it. I agree with you. Two things. One, a lot of people were saying that when we talk about the crack era, mass incarceration, the way addiction has impacted different Black communities, right? I think they're from down there in Texas. If we're going to have compassion and have those conversations with compassion, it doesn't matter if you care about addicted people. It doesn't matter if you care about Black people. The question I always ask is, do you care about Black person? Right? Because it's easy to give this big, amorphous sort of answer. Yeah, I care about people that are going through addiction issues, this kind of almost formless statement that all of these people who are faceless and nameless. But when someone who actually has had that type of toil in their life wants a second chance or wants to be whole again, do you care about that person? Would you say and go to bat for that individual person? No matter how hard it is, no matter how emotional it is, no matter what type of relationships it might strain, no matter what happens, is that person worthy of emotional restoration? And it's always tough to ask because then you have to think about somebody else's situation and, Simone's situation, how they went through things when they were kids and stuff. So I don't have any thoughts about what Simone should do because it's not a situation I was in. But I know how I would want us to approach people who have had a rough time, right? And what I would want is for us to be able to, as a group, as a society, as a culture, look at the rough time that they had and analyze whether or not they're making better strides and trying to be a better person. And then hopefully we can repair those bonds, right? To your point, going to the press doesn't look great. Also, at this particular, the timing of it doesn't
Right,
look great.
right.
Simone's inner moment, the whole nine, all of that stuff doesn't look great. It reeks of desperation. But at the same time, there is something that I think is genuine about seeing someone of your body accomplish everything that Simone Biles has accomplished and then wanting to be close to that. A lot of people are going to say, hey, it's money. Hey, it's fame. Hey, it's everything that Simone has accomplished. And I'm sure that's part of it, right? But if your self-worth has been so diminished, and if your self-worth has been so disintegrated, if you've been down to the depths like that, and you see something of your body, someone that came out of you, achieve those types of things, think of how validating that would be for you. Think about the purpose that that would give to you. Think about and to me, it's probably a part of her getting back to where she has to get back to, or maybe going to a new place that she wants to be in the orbit of her daughter. We'll say this though, last thing. My father passed away. We learned that we had, how should I say, new family, or family that we didn't know about. They weren't new. He knew about them. We didn't know about them. Family is definitely about a set of genetic circumstances, but it's also about memories, proximity, and familiarity. So it's hard to start from scratch after a while of not being around someone or not knowing someone. It's not an easy thing to do. Yeah. I think a lot of people out there, it's not an easy thing to do. So it's not easy for Simone Biles, I would guess, to look at somebody as her mother who hasn't been around, you know?
Well, and we don't know what's happened in between, right? Yeah. We know, and I'll say that part in a second, but we know that her mom struggled with drugs. She wasn't able to take care of the kids. The mom's father stepped up, took 2 of the kids, and then his sister took the other 2. So it separated this family, and they spent a moment in foster care. We don't know how many times she may have tried to come back and it didn't work. We don't, and I'm all hypotheticals. We don't know if, they did stay with her and then, she had a relapse. We just don't know what kind of toll this has taken on Simone. And this is my second point, going to sound very harsh. And maybe I'm not being sympathetic to what the war on drugs and the crack era did do to a generation of people, but it is still a decision that was made, right? And so I think in all fairness, Simone, I'm saying there has to be a level of responsibility. And I'm saying, Van's making a face at me.
This is the Beaver face.
He wants to interrupt.
I've been making this face for a long time. That's a tough one. The Beaver face.
But here's my point. So I think Simone, therefore, can make a decision as well in how she wants to handle it. It's not saying that she doesn't have grace, because it does seem like at some level her mom can reach out to her, has had contact with her. She doesn't cut her off completely. She's just not in her life the way that she wants to be, the mom. Like, she didn't attend the wedding. She wasn't at the Olympics. But it seems like Simone has boundaries. And in all fairness, I think that she's allowed to do that.
I agree.
So that sounds rough to say that. It's not that I'm not being sympathetic to the struggles and what that did to how much it affected the Black community. But
can I say something real quick?
I'm sorry.
And so I want to name something. So Higher Learning, I think, is a good podcast. I love the podcast. We're going to grow. We're going to be bigger. But when people think that Higher Learning is just 2 lefties, not really lefties, because
it's moments like this.
Lefty people. When people think, really, this is the difference right here, right? There's a part of me that, and I'm not saying you don't either, because you got to have proximity to it. There's a part of me that just knows so many fucked up people that needed second and third and fourth and fifth chances because of all of this.
Mhm.
And, you know, people that like I said, all my dad's brothers dead. My beautiful Uncle David just passed away after living a lifetime of being one of the most beautiful souls ever, but he had his problems. Friends and all of that type of stuff like that. I always want to see that happy ending for someone who had it rough like that. And I always want to see people like that at some point get like a soft bed to land on. And it's not a plea to Simone Biles or anything like that. But if that woman like legitimately wants to be around like her daughter and wants to repair and restore that, she'll never be fully whole until that happens.
You're right.
And now the person with the decision to make that happen is Simone Biles. Doesn't owe her anything.
It doesn't owe her anything. And just to be clear,
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't give second, third, fourth chances. That's why I think her father, who is Simone's dad, has a relationship with his daughter again. I think it's different. That's a father to a child. He saw his child struggling. He's took her kids in, let her, I'm sure, she stumbled along the way and they still have a relationship together. The mom has said that. The mom seems to be doing, thankfully, much better now and seems to have been that way for a while from what I was reading. But Simone has a different relationship with her mother.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. And it's really her decision. And as harsh as that might be, I think it is fair for her to decide the type of relationship she wants her mother based on decisions that were made.
So you said that one parent took one brother, the brother took two of them and then the sister took two of them?
Yeah. So she's being raised by her grandfather and the other siblings are by their great aunt.
Their great aunt, right. His sister. Man, I
Black
gotta be
families.
honest. I'm sure they love everybody, but if they split the kids up and one gets two and the other one gets two, and then one of them that you get, that, it turns out to be Simone Biles, you gotta, you know what I'm saying? If me and my sister had to break up kids, we busting these two kids off, and you get two kids and they go on, they might make the honor roll or something, and then one of them becomes Simone Biles, man, I might have to arrange a trade or something. This gotta be fantasy kid football.
You would see it that way.
I would, because I'm thinking to myself, I get two kids and all of a sudden, that's tough, after a couple years, Simone just won the regionals again. Y'all go in there and do your fucking homework. Invent something.
Man,
Run
do you know
faster.
how much money it takes to finance a gymnastics career?
Yeah, I get it.
They end up homeschooling. It's at so much time and money.
I get it. I saw this video of her. She was 6 and she was flipping. If you see that kid flip like that, you got to put the bread
I saw it. I saw it.
I saw her. She was 6 and she was flipping. Let me see one of these little motherfuckers that's be around me flipping like that.
When she messed up, which she looks perfect. Got mad. Oh, yeah. Her. Yeah, she going places. Yeah.
Raygun. Raygun is back.
She won't go away.
There have been so many different fucking theories about Raygun. You've seen them?
Oh, yeah. What got people nobody's stopped talking about Raygun. I don't know about you, Van, but I can't not watch videos that pop up on my TikTok or my Instagram. Whenever she pops up, I gotta watch it. I gotta see if there's like old videos, not the Olympic performance. We've seen enough of that. I'm like, is there something we missed? Is there a new move? Is she really, because you think that she was trolling us. At the end of the day, that's honestly just who she was. But the new story this week is that a change.org petition has been accusing her of unethical behavior. They're saying that she The selection process she used to her own advantage by setting up her own governing body for breakdancing and overlooking other qualified breakdancers. There's been some videos of other breakdancers, particularly there's a Molly that she was going up against that a lot of people feel like Molly did much better than she did. And that was what qualified Raygun to go to the Olympics. There are also some unverified claims that she denied funding to a group of incredibly talented, this is a quote, underprivileged youth, and alleges that Raygun defeated, quote, phenomenal breakdancers and won her own, quote, qualifier. And then they're also saying that her husband was involved and he was one of the judges. There's an article that debunks all of this that says none of that's true.
It's all horseshit, right? It's all bullshit. I think some of that is coming from people who want an explanation as to how she got to the Olympics. And once again, my friends in the dance community, I've been hoping to get somebody on. They can't speak enough about how important breaking being at the Olympics was for them. They can't speak enough about it, about the art that is breaking, about how they feel like the cultural relevance of it has waned a little bit, and how this was an opportunity for breaking to become center stage, or at least have a resurgence in the American cultural discussion, the world's cultural discussion, shall I say, because it's obviously far from just an American thing. It's like a worldwide modality of dance that people do and really feel like they're expressing themselves in. And that Raygun hijacked it. Okay. So I think that there's some people who feel that way, who are looking to some type of design as to why this happened. And they need a villain, and they want Raygun to be that villain. Raygun spoke out for the first time. Here's what she had to say.
I just want to start by thanking all the people who have supported me. I really appreciate the positivity, and I'm glad I was able to bring some joy into your lives. That's what I hoped. I didn't realize that that would also open the door to so much hate, which has frankly been pretty devastating. Well, I went out there and I had fun. I did take it very seriously. I worked my butt off preparing for the Olympics, and I gave my all, truly. Bit of a fun fact for you. There are actually no points in breaking. If you want to see how the judges thought I compared to my opponents, you can actually see the comparison percentages across the 5 criteria on Olympics.com. All the results are there. I'm going to be in Europe for a few weeks for some pre-planned downtime, but I'd really like to ask the press to please stop harassing my family, my friends, the Australian breaking community, and the broader street dance community.
What the fuck? What the fuck do you think about that, Rach?
So there are no points, by the way. I'm bothered. I'm bothered when she's like, I really went out there to have fun. And it's like, the fun is in the opening ceremony. The fun is I'm not saying the fun is in the closing ceremony. I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy your time.
You can't have fun when you're at the Olympics competing?
It seems like that was her sole thing. Yes, she said she worked hard, but she's like, I wanted to bring joy to people and have fun. Well, if that's the case, then sign me up. You know what I mean? Like it's a competition at the same time. And I guess I didn't hear her use those words. You're there to compete. You're there to represent your country. You're supposed to be the best of the best. I understand there's a small pool of breakdancing in Australia. And so that's part of the other reason that she was able to elevate in such a way. But I am a little like, yes, people should stop harassing her and her family. Like they should stop spreading misinformation out there and lying on the way that she got there. But at the same time, the only negative thing I'm going to say is it is more than just fun. And I think that's where it looked like you went out there to have fun. It really looked like you went out there to like you know, you were feeling the beat, you were feeling the
Go
crowd,
ahead,
you were feeling the energy, you know, and that's what it looked like. It didn't look like you came out to compete. So, of course, people are going to be, yes, you came in as an underdog. People are going to be critical. And I think that there's space for that, to criticize the performance compared to the other breakdancers that you had to compete against. But I do think the harassing should stop.
Let me ask you a question. Would this story be the same if Raygun were black?
Yes. No, obviously people would talk about cultural appropriation, but if a black woman went out there and came out swimming and kangaroo hop, they call it bunny hop, right? She went out there and started doing the bunny hop and posing like that. Of course people would make fun of it. Of course they would, but the cultural appropriation angle wouldn't be there. But absolutely, she would have been a meme. They would have been talking about it on social media. She'd probably be a Halloween costume. But it just heightens it that she's also white. I don't think there would have been as much misinformation. You wouldn't have maybe thought as much that she cheated her way, which is what Rachel Gunn is being accused of, to get to this, or that she pushed underprivileged youth out of the way, that rumor, to get to where she is. I don't think you would hear those storylines, but she'd still be a meme. We'd still be laughing.
Yeah. She doesn't deserve any type of harassment of her family. Definitely not. Definitely doesn't deserve that. However, all of the slander in the world that is being directed at that performance is warranted.
Yeah.
It is time, though, for people to recognize some of the athletes that really performed well in breaking. Just, talk about more in breaking as a whole. But I definitely agree with you. I do think that if she were, a lot of this has to do with the fact that she's white, but that's the way things are. Okay. Michael Rubin. He's a friend of yours, right?
Who?
Michael Rubin.
He is not. He doesn't know who I am.
I thought you liked him. I thought he was a pal.
You made that up. I've attended Fanatics parties. I do not know him.
Have you ever met him before? Has he ever hugged you from behind?
No, he's never hugged me from the front or behind, but I have interviewed him when I worked at Extra. I interviewed him and Robert Kraft.
It's one of your niggas. Let me tell y'all something right now. This next clip right here is why I'm so fucking militant about this barbecue, invite him to the barbecue culture that y'all be in. Okay? Michael Rubin went on The Breakfast Club and he was defending Meek Mill, some of the internet slander that Meek has gotten. And this is what Michael Rubin had to say.
The thing I don't like about that is it doesn't bother me for me. It bothers me that it actually, when I see the narrative of a really good friend of mine like Meek and people trying to, again, if he was gay, which there's not one gay bone in his body, who cares? Number one, if people want to be gay, it is 2024. Who the fuck cares? Okay. Number two, there's not a gay bone in his body. So why do people want to lie about that? Why do people want to change a narrative of bet he made with me to try to hurt him? That is the one thing I've learned about, and look, I'm just being blunt because it's me. It's the one thing I've learned about black culture that I don't like is that black hate on hate.
Speak on that more. I heard you say that earlier, and I wanted you to expound on that. You said you don't like to see black people tearing down other black people.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. I want to support look, you guys know me pretty well. Anything I can ever help with, I'm always there. I always want to be helpful. I feel lucky and fortunate to do what I do every day. To be as, whatever success I've had, I feel blessed to do that. And I want to give back in every way I can. In business and in charitable things, I'm always trying to be helpful. Why does someone want to bring somebody else down? Let's try to build everybody up. I'd be more excited if I'd be more excited to see one of my friends do something that's 99% less meaningful to me, but it would be really meaningful to them because I want them to do great. I want everyone around me to do great. I don't like watching, there's a little bit, and you tell me, you guys correct me if you think I'm wrong. I think there's a little bit of a black culture of it's black hate on hate. It's like that black judge that Meek had that hated on him and wanted to go extra hard on him. Okay. It's it's what people always say to me. It's like black hate on hate. So I think it's terrible. I think it's something I think it's culturally wrong. and I'll probably get killed for saying this because here, I'm
I'm
a
glad
rich
you're
guy.
saying it openly. If this
Yeah.
is the conversations that are being
I have
had
it all the time with
amongst, I want to hear this.
Yeah, so I think it's wrong. I think, like, why do you not want to build everyone up around you? Why do you not want everyone around you to do great? The best way for everyone to do great is to push each other up.
Go.
White boy, who the fuck you talking to? Who the fuck you think you talking to? What are you talking about? Let me tell you what would never happen. Let me tell you what's an impossibility. It would be an impossibility for any black man, no matter how important he thought he was or how important America thought he was, to go on a platform with 3 Jewish people and then tell them what's wrong with their culture. I don't give a fuck how many friends he had, how immersed he was, to publicly say, what I've learned about black culture is this, and this is what I do not like. This is what happens when, look, we all have friends of differing ethnicities, white friends, black friends, really close friends to us, really close people to us, people we talk to all the time, we love. But when someone buys or feels like they've carved out a chunk of your cultural market space, right? When someone feels like they've moved into your cultural house, they will try to redecorate that bitch. They will get in there and say, okay, I don't like this about the drapes. Let me change this wall, knock this wall down so you can have more space. There's an authority that he's speaking with right there. One of the authorities that he's speaking with is because he feels like he knows enough about black culture to comment on whether or not we have an intercultural problem with hate, right? Number 2, his privilege is that he feels like his cultural observation is important enough to literally say that on the most important black platform in America. He's talking to all of black people. When you go on the Breakfast Club, you're talking to black people. That's the most important thing about the Breakfast Club. The most important thing about the Breakfast Club, I've said it before, is whenever you get someone on there, be it a politician, be it whomever, if they think they're talking to Black America, they feel that they are. It's the biggest black platform that's out there. So watching the way they act when they think they're talking to Black America is very important to me. Michael Rubin thought he was talking to Black America, and he admonished Black America. I know that y'all like partying with Michael Rubin, and I know that y'all like hanging out with him, and I know it's all gravy, and that shit is all dope. It really is beautiful, and he's done a lot for a lot of people. You can't be comfortable with that. And Meek came out. Meek said he shouldn't have said that out loud. He shouldn't. It's not that he shouldn't have said that out loud.
Is that how he quoted it?
It's not that he shouldn't have said that out loud. He shouldn't have that thought in his mind. Who's ever talking to Michael Rubin and telling Michael Rubin the problem with black people, or whoever's, I guarantee you, he heard that from somebody. Whoever's talking to him, telling him the issue with black people, that's going to devalue his opinion of an entire culture. It's 40 million people, 40 million black people. You gonna tell me, like, we always talk about how we're not a monolith in thought or in action. You're gonna tell me what you think our problem is? Yo, I worked at TMZ for years. Harvey Levin was a Jewish guy, is a Jewish guy. I never saw Harvey say, don't do this story on somebody because they're Jewish. I've never seen that. Tropes are dangerous. The tropes about Jewish people that exist, that people might want to say that they're powerful, that they stick together, that all of those things, they're dangerous because they victimize Jewish people and they make them look as if something that has to be fought rather than has to be understood. That trope that black people are their own worst enemy it's dangerous because it divorces America from the responsibility of how they've treated and what they've done to black people. That trope is dangerous because it makes it seem as if, well, doesn't matter what happens, whatever you give to them, they're going to tear it up. He don't have that to say. That's not his place to say that, man. And every time we get to this with one of these people, one of these white dudes that y'all put up on a pedestal and make it seem like he's the best thing since sliced bread, and you all want to be up under him, it always comes back to this. Stop this.
Yeah. I think that there is a way to be around somebody, but not give them total access or make them feel comfortable enough to have these type of conversations. I didn't watch the whole episode for The Breakfast Club. I would like to think that they checked him for saying this. Did they?
No, not
Okay.
really. They talked about.
Well, that's another
Did they-
reason people feel comfortable coming on it, because that wouldn't have happened here. That wouldn't have happened on this show. If that was said on this, if that was said here, like it would have been like, wait a minute. Now, I'm not saying we're respectful to our guests, but it's like, wait a minute, we can't allow that to continue. What should not have happened is how it played out, which is the episode was released. There was a lot of criticism to what was said. And a lot of people were nice about it. I believe your intentions were good, but this is the problem with what you said. And since the episode has come out and there has been a lot of backlash, Michael Rubin tweeted out, I got a phone call from one of the people I have the most respect for in the world, and they told me, while they appreciate my intention, it's not my place to speak on Black culture. I get it and really appreciate the input. He goes on to say, my intention was to say how important it is that we need to uplift each other, stop hate on each other, and push each other to win and always root for each other's success. My bad, much love, and appreciate the feedback. The other problem with what he did was he made it particular to us, as if no other culture hates on each other except for Black people. This is very particular and specific to Black culture, as if hating isn't something that happens. And he says in the second paragraph, he wanted to talk about how we need to lift each other up. And that's what he should have said. Instead of saying it's Black people that have this problem, it's people in general that hate on each other. And it's not a cultural thing to Black people, which was really disappointing to what he said. And honestly, it should have been checked in real time. It shouldn't have had to be this whole thing. He shouldn't have had to be, someone should not have had to call him after the interview came out to let him know that it was wrong. And the way he was able to have that conversation in a room full of Black people and nobody said anything, those are the same conversations he was having prior to this behind closed doors that allowed him to feel comfortable enough to come on a Black platform and do that.
He knew he shouldn't have said it. He said, I probably shouldn't say that. He says, I probably shouldn't say that. I'm going to get killed for it. I'm telling you, man, you guys. So it's interesting. The idea that Black people have some specific ill intent for one another, right? Some specific ill intent for one another is not backed up by fact. It's not backed up by history. It is a surface level, very cosmetic thought on Black culture. It's a trope. It's bullshit. Like, I've been to Black communities. I've lived in Black communities my entire life. I done seen my mama borrow eggs from people. I done seen people come over and borrow one egg. I done seen people take other people's children in. I done seen people, I'm not talking about no celebrity shit on fucking Twitter. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people all huddled together and using their bodies for warmth. I'm talking about taking in a neighbor's kid after mama done gone to jail. I've been there. I've seen that. I'm talking about South Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I seen people that made it because all they had was each other. I seen it. I've been right there. I've seen dudes like huddle together and form little crews and share everything, share underwear, share. I've seen it. It's just a lie. If you're talking about in cracking jokes on celebrities, if you're talking about all of that, we like to have a little fun. But all of this other stuff, that competition exists across the board at those levels. And I'm certainly not about to let this billionaire who is trying to buy little chunks of cool enough to the point to where he can have an opinion on black. It's just, I don't know. Y'all cool with that? Like, okay.
I guess I won't be invited to any more Fanatics parties. It's a wrap for me.
I mean, what? He's not Lex Luthor. Like he just over his skis a little bit. He not like I'm not trying to kick him in his ass. He not fucking. It's not like the nigga became David Duke. I'm just saying like fucking relax.
I know,
what you want?
Well, here's the thing. It's because it's not particular to him. It's not the first time it's been done. So it's like a part of a bigger issue when people who are not Black feel comfortable enough to speak on, to tell us about ourselves. And a lot of times we just let it slide.
He wants to be cool. He collect niggas like Pokemon, but it's no issue. Like he not the first or the last. I'm sure Michael Rubin, his heart is in the right place on so many different issues.
For sure.
I'm sure he is, but get the fuck out of here, bro. The fuck you, like, who you talking to? What? By the way, you guys, I've been there before. I fought these battles from inside of TMZ. I fought these battles from wherever. One thing a nigga not gonna say about me, I fought these battles from IDNF. It's like, what are y'all doing? Like what? What are you talking about? Like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You can't speak with any authority on that shit to me. I'm not gonna do that to you. I'm not gonna do that to you.
Same.
Why are you gonna do it to me? It's this latent feeling of American ownership over Black culture, Black thought, and the structures of who we are that you can just talk to. You can't do that with nobody.
But we gotta call it out when it happens. If you don't check it, it continues. I'm sorry. You gotta call it out when it happens.
By the way, hearing other people talk, because I have heard other people talk about this, I've heard that same trope about all other cultures. I've heard my Italian friends going, well, all we do from around here is tear each other down. And I've heard, it's just like, they off code for telling me, I don't want to know how y'all tear each other. I'm fucking with y'all, man. Let's go to Sbarro. Okay.
Not Sbarro's.
I fuck with Sbarro.
I do too, but I don't think that that's what they would claim.
Hey, Sbarro. Hey. Rachel, you got an interview coming up.
I got an interview. You guys, it is a treat. We're closing out the show just as we should. We like to feel smarter on this show. We like to make you guys feel that same way, and nobody better to do that than Stacey Abrams. So here's the interview right now. She is an attorney, voting rights activist, a New York Times bestselling author, a political leader. The list goes on and on. We will be here all day if I name every single accomplishment that she has. And now she's a podcaster of the new podcast, Assembly Required, with Stacey Abrams, who is our guest today. Thank you so much for joining us on Higher Learning. Welcome back. We're so happy to have you.
Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
Yes. So let's get right into it, because you do so much, which is why I could go on and on and on about you. And by the way, thank you for all that you do. But I want to know why this podcast, why now, and what can we expect from it?
I have been interested for a very long time in deconstructing problems. That's my thing. And when people think about the different ways I enter the world, some say, pick a lane like I did. It's called a highway. And it's because for me, the point is, how do we move forward? How do we make progress? And we can't just pick one thing to do, because the challenges we face cut across issues, cut across the way our lives are lived. And one of the best ways to tackle problems is to not get overwhelmed by the sheer size of what we face. It's instead understand the problem and then understand the pieces, break it down, figure out which piece you can do something about, and then go find some friends because you can't do all of it yourself. We can't do everything everywhere all at once. But if we crowdsource it, if I take my piece and you take your piece and I know what you're working on and you know what I'm working on, and we also know that we need to find 5 more people because there's a lot left, that's how to get things done. And for me, the podcast is an opportunity, especially in this moment, to take these big, glaring, and sometimes overwhelming challenges that feel like they are consuming our lives and break it down and say, look, yeah, it's big. It's going to take a while, but it's also possible. It's possible to make change. It is possible to make progress. It's possible to chip away. And for those who think that chipping away isn't fast enough, I point you to the Grand Canyon.
Oh, wow. Well, you have a track record of being patient, doing the work, boots on the ground, and then having the results as well. So there's nobody better to lead a podcast like this. And I've told you this before. When you had the documentary, I was like, this is something that should be in classrooms. So I love that you are teaching us once again, with questions that we have where we don't really know where to go. And I also love that you make this first episode, which drops today, by the way, you guys, on Crooked Media. It's a family affair at first. And you bring in Faith, who we get to meet. And I love this because it's a voice that, you know, a lot of our listeners have. She says a lot of things that we're thinking about. And you talk about this problem. I know there are a lot of problems, but what would you, and you admit that on the podcast, but what would you say is the biggest problem that we are facing right now as we're leading into this election?
So I refuse to give one problem.
Okay. We'll take it.
But here's why. Because it's complicated. And, you know, that's also explaining, you know, it's an explanation for a lot of relationships too. But the concern I have with picking one problem is that we devalue the concerns that others have. We all enter this world in different ways. And the reason I was excited to have Faith on the first episode, in fact, insisted on it, is that she's an 18-year-old who's curious, who is about to start college, who has just registered to vote. And she lives with me. She hears about this all the time and is filled with questions. And when we think that we're only allowed one question, we're only allowed to tackle one problem, we sometimes will exempt ourselves from participation because if we can't see how our problem is being solved, then maybe it's not our responsibility. And so instead, I want to talk about structural issues. I want to talk about how one thing can be proxy for something else. So in this case, we're talking about how do we win elections? How do we determine who's in charge of our country? The Electoral College is the problem because it doesn't let the people decide. It doesn't let the popular vote tell us who we are and what we want. We can't fix the Electoral College. Not now, not immediately. It's constitutional. So instead, I say, okay, what are the things we can do that feel accessible, that feel imaginative, and that start to address the legitimacy of our concerns and the reality of where we are?
I love that you're talking about the Electoral College because and just like the whole unequal distribution of power, because I feel like that's in a few branches, you know, of our government. And I like that we have Faith's input because she is a younger voter who has questions about these antiquated rules, these laws that exist. And even, I mean, I'm a millennial and even I do. And there's something that you talk about, and I don't want to get too into the podcast because you guys really have to hear this first episode. It's so good. But I was not familiar with the term ranked choice voting. And I know that it's becoming more popular. And I know that it's a path to election reform. And I know you bring on a guest to discuss it even more. But if you can just speak to it just a little bit.
Absolutely. The challenge with the Electoral College is first and foremost, and most fundamentally, it is racist. It was designed to deny the humanity of enslaved persons, but get the benefit of their presence. So the Electoral College came about because Southerners did not want to have to give Black people, humanity, or the right to vote, but they didn't want to lose out because there were so many enslaved persons in the South. When that's where you begin, everything else follows, not only from the infrastructure of the Electoral College, but the intent, which is to devalue and to silence certain opinions. And so instead, you end up with this system of electing the leader of our nation that privileges you based on geography and based on other identities that people like to ignore. So ranked choice voting says, okay, we see you, but we're going to tweak the system. Instead of us having to pick between one or the other, we're going to tell you what we actually want by telling you in order of preference what we need. And if the one we want doesn't work, you don't get to win simply because you overwhelmed the system with your number and your intentions. My second choice then moves up the rank, and it encourages us to have more variety in what we discuss, more variety in who stands for office. And it encourages us to show up because we know that if our person doesn't win, the next person we like might get it. And we have more shots, we have more bites of the apple, more shots at the hoop. And that gives us the ability and I think the engagement that says it's worth showing up because I might not get everything I want, but I might do enough to get the next thing I like.
I mean, this sounds like democracy to me.
Yeah.
Way more than the Electoral College. Way more. And it also, I feel like, addresses what a lot of people feel, and particularly young voters who are disengaged, that their vote doesn't matter, that it doesn't hold weight. Is that what you see in talking to Faith and people similarly situated as her, with her, in regards to the biggest concern facing young voters as they're moving into this election? And how do you give them that hope moving forward?
Young voters are the most articulate about it, but this is a perennial problem, not just a millennial problem.
Okay.
It is evident in Gen X, in the boomers, in the silent generation. We have always been anxious about how little our voices matter. And there are ways to solve for that. Either you take over or you sit it out. No one's going to play a game when they know there's no chance of winning. And for me, the goal is, especially for this younger generation, because combined with the millennials, you guys could run the world. I want there to be a sense of ownership and a sense that you can make things better. You can change the system. Faith is a perfect proxy for it, but she speaks on behalf of so many who have grown up in a moment with absolute information and ineffective power, meaning you can tell what's wrong. You can prove it because you guys have the internet. We had it, I didn't have the internet till I was older. But you also see in real time just how little impact that knowledge can have. That when Sandy Hook happened, we could not get our Congress to take action. And then the litany of school shootings never translated into a political will to do better. That in a moment where housing is a crisis, political will won't respond. But if we can elect people who feel that they have to not just convince the folks who like them, but they've got to convince the folks that are kind of iffy about them, then you start to change what people are willing to commit to and what people are willing to get into. Younger voters will get more engaged if they know that they've got the opportunity to really pull the levers of power. But more importantly, if they know they have the right to ask the questions about how power is used.
Speaking of different systems and changes and antiquated rules, I'm sure you will do an episode on this, but I am curious to your thoughts of the Supreme Court. I mean, being an attorney, I used to practice. We used to hold the court in such high regard, and now it's not the same. It's just simply put it, it's just not the same. Would you like to see changes? And I guess I'm speaking in the number of seats when it comes to the Supreme Court. Obviously changes as to who's, occupying them.
Let's remember, and yes, I do plan to talk about this, but just to set the stage. And this goes back to the election. One of the critical reasons I'm going to be promoting my candidate, Vice President Kamala Harris, is that we need someone in that office who can make certain if we have an opportunity that we can change the structure of the court. We've got to remember that this is cyclical. We have had horrific, horrendous Supreme Court justices who abandon and abdicate moral responsibility before. That's how we got Plessy versus Ferguson. That's how we got Dred Scott. We have had this happen before. We have to survive it to get to the other side. And then we have to use the power of being voters to change the narrative. One of the ways is to increase the number on the court, which we've done before. It's to change how the court is appointed, which we've done before. There is nothing that is under consideration that has not been done before. We just don't remember it because we get used to what we have. And part of the goal of the podcast of Simply Required is to remind us, what's the problem? Why is it a problem? And then what can we do to start solving it? And the Supreme Court is a perfect example because we can actually start to have an impact. They are, yes, given a permanent seat, but we have the ability to change how they get there, what they can do while they're there. And there are actual fantastic ideas that can be accomplished in real time without changing the Constitution.
The podcast is Assembly Required with Stacey Abrams. The first episode premiered today. You guys got to check it out. It's really fantastic. You mentioned Vice President Kamala Harris. You spoke at the rally in Georgia. And to watch, it was electrifying. I can't even imagine what it was like to be there. You walk on the stage. They're screaming, Stacey, Stacey, Stacey. Your city, your state adores you, by the way. You have to redirect them to start chanting Kamala. And I am curious for you, you've dedicated your life to being such a freedom fighter. Is the energy that you're feeling, the momentum that we're getting, is this something that's reminiscent from the past, or does this feel like something new to you?
Yes. So it's both.
Okay.
Because we have to remember, part of the energy we feel is new. It is the product of there being something new. I am a staunch Biden supporter. I supported him. I support him. But there's an ennui that sets in when you're watching the same show over and over again. And essentially, this has been going on for 8 years.
Yeah.
We had Trump and Hillary, then we had Trump and Biden, then we had Biden and Trump. And so for a lot of people, there is just the belief that there is something new possible. And that energy is real. And that energy is embodied in Vice President Harris.
Mm-hmm.
There's also just the reality that we have a chance to prove as a nation that we are who we say we are. Identity matters. I articulate this. I argue this. I look askance at those who would say, oh, this is identity politics. It's all identity politics. When you say that you're going after soccer moms or rural voters, when you identify the contours of who you're talking to, Republican, Democrat, those are identities. So yes, it matters that we have a woman. Yes, it matters that we have an African American woman. Yes, it matters that we have an Indian American woman. Yes, it matters that we have a woman of color. Yes, it matters that we have a Democrat. Yes, it matters. It all matters because there are lived experiences that come with every single identity, whether we like those experiences or not. And the energy we are feeling is a direct result of people seeing that new identities can emerge and can have power and can have access and can be competitive. And so when I hear the denigration of diversity, equity, and inclusion, what I hear is we don't like competition. We
Yeah.
don't like the fact that this country is doing what it said it was supposed to do, which is believe in diversity is all people, equity is access to opportunity, and inclusion is a pathway to the American dream. And we're watching that pathway widen in real time.
Absolutely. What do you think are going to be some of the biggest hurdles for the Harris-Walz campaign? And maybe what would you like to see from them?
Well, one of the episodes coming up on Assembly Required is disinformation. That is going to be one of the most aggressive tactics used because it is so hard to understand, to combat. And we have so much information coming at us the ability to sift through that information is a weakness in our politics today. We've already seen it happen. We've seen, a deep fake of a photograph. We have heard disinformation about Governor Walz. We've seen it in real time, and it's going to be on, exponentially. It's going to be exponentially exploding as we get deeper into this campaign. And so one of the tools that I want us to have is, how do we understand what disinformation, misinformation, malinformation looks like? How do we sift through it? And then how do we explain it to somebody without repeating the lie? Especially when the lie is coming from someone we love and have to have dinner with on Thursday. So, so one of the things I wanted to think about is that challenge. We also have to learn how to understand policy proposals in real time, especially when it's done through jargon. Tariffs are taxes. So when we hear that they're going to impose new tariffs, that's what Trump is talking about. But language matters. And so I want us to understand that the challenge of this election is going to be not giving in to the immediacy of an attack and doing the work of understanding what it means for us in our real lives.
Just a couple of more questions. You've been so gracious with your time, and I really could just keep picking your brain. But that's what the podcast is for, guys. Assembly Required with Stacey Abrams. And you've already given us a little teaser of what's to come on the podcast, and we're very excited about that. But as you were just talking, it made me think of, we talked a bit about it on our podcast of the party, the Democrat Party as a whole, and what they need to do to make sure they stay together and they're unified. Do you feel like, or what do you think needs to happen? Because there does seem to be a little between the progressives and the more moderates. What do they need to do to come together more, to have a unified message and make sure that it's Vice President Kamala Harris sitting in that presidential seat?
Well, I'll tell you, we're doing a pretty good job. Part of my hesitation, in fact, I wrote an op-ed about this. My hesitation, in part, in the idea of changing the nominee, was that we are not always great in my political party with chaos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in the absence of a structured system that is not the primary system to replace President Biden, I was deeply concerned about how we would do this. Would we coalesce? Would we finance? Would we do the work necessary to make such a rapid change when given that we had a stalwart and a proven warrior who was leading our ticket? I applaud the president for deciding that he didn't want to be a distraction. But I'm also grateful that we as a party coalesced so quickly and that we've stayed together. So there was a sugar high right after this was announced. But what we've seen since then has been a sustained engagement. We have the right to ask questions. We have the right to differ and disagree about policy. We're not only Americans, we're humans. But what we have to believe is that having the right leadership gives us the space to have these debates, gives us the opportunity to achieve the outcomes we want. And so far, so incredibly good. The contrast between Vice President Harris and Governor Walz compared to former President Trump and Senator Vance could not be more stark. You have two men who have spent the entirety of this moment whining about the fact that there was a moment to have, whining about who gets to participate, whining about why they have to fight so hard. And you've got Vice President Harris and Governor Walz who are in there as happy warriors saying, we're going to not fight against them. We are fighting for you. And in the moment politicians decide to fight for the people, that is when we get the good that we deserve.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see Trump and Vance scramble to try to find something to attack Harris and Walz with. They seem to be going after the low-hanging fruit and don't really have a strategy. And it's kind of fun to watch it all.
I mean, look, we're fighting this here in Georgia now, but when your biggest attack against Governor Walz is that he's feeding children who are hungry, I mean, we're still trying to get the governor of Georgia to agree that he should accept the money necessary to feed hungry children next year. There's free money and he won't take it, even though we've already paid our taxes to pay for it. Governor Walz, when your harshest attack and your most salient critique is that he cares about children and wants them to have the best lives possible, I say let's fight that every day.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Absolutely. There's been some criticism, of course, from the other side in regards to the fact that Vice President Kamala Harris has not spoken directly to the media, but yet she's traveling all across the country, campaigning. We're hearing from her in a way that we never have before, which is also really exciting to watch. Do you think it's a big deal that she's not addressing the media head on? Because they don't seem to be worried about it at all.
I don't think the question is the right question. Is she talking to the people? Is she telling them what they need to know? Is she engaging citizens and laying out her proposals and explaining what she's going to do as the next president? The answer is absolutely unequivocally yes. Is she talking to the press? Yes. Is she doing it the way they want? Not yet.
Not yet.
She's been the nominee for less than a month. She's about to go into the convention. And I assure you, there will be multiple opportunities. But the pace of change does not always accommodate the expectations and desires of others. And so I say, not yet, but it's coming soon.
It's coming soon. We will end on that note. I love the way that you just put a period right after it. You're always working on something new. Tell us what you're working on next. Tell us where we can follow you, support you, and obviously subscribe and like the podcast too.
Thank you. Well, of course, Assembly Required with Stacey Abrams from Crooked Media. Please go to our website, sign up, tell everyone you've ever met to subscribe. And while you're there, make sure you not only talk about us, but talk about this fantastic podcast I'm on right now with Rachel. I'm also doing a lot of work on DEI because there could not be a more pressing issue. And I guess going back to your question about this election, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, it describes everything we are. All of the progress we've made from the Voting Rights Act to the Americans with Disabilities Act. Those are all under attack. And if we do not protect and defend DEI, the very infrastructure that allows full participation dissipates. And so I encourage people to go to atrnetwork.org. That's the coalition of organizations I've created that are really focusing on the issues of DEI. And you can always find me at Stacey Abrams on Twitter, on Instagram, or X, I guess is what we call it now. But if you put in Stacey Abrams, you're going to find me. And I'm so eager to hear from folks. Tell me what you want to know. Tell me the questions that are keeping you up at night. Tell me the things that are exciting you that you want more people to know about. Because that's why I believe that there's some assembly required to get to the world we want.
As I said, you don't stop. I'm like, what does Stacey Abrams do for fun? What does she do to relax?
I watch an inordinate amount of TV and I read voraciously. And I will say the last thing I've got a children's book coming out in a few weeks. So hopefully I'll come back and tell you all about that.
You definitely have to come back. Please let me find out you're a lover of reality TV, and we will talk about that next time too.
We can talk. I'm willing to be converted. Right now, I'm more of a competition show person than I am strict reality because I like my people scripted when I'm not doing my day jobs. So,
I accept the challenge. Okay. Thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you for stopping by Higher Learning. We look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Take care.
Rachel, when are you going to run for office? Stacey was great.
I'm not going to date a politician. I'm not going to marry a politician. I'm not going to date a politician. I'm not going to be a politician. That life is not for me. It's just not.
Even in another country?
I guess I've never thought about that.
See?
I love the way you think about this for me. What can you see?
I could see you married to like the president of some island country. Like I could see you being the first lady of like Anguilla or...
You want a free trip. You want to be able to be like, hey, we ready to get out there. We ready. That's what you want. This is called self-serving. I don't know, maybe, but definitely not in this country. Definitely not happening.
I can do that ray gun shit. Look.
See, because it's for fun. Why is only one arm is moving? Do you notice that?
Yeah, I was watching. I was like, wow.
Vance
trying.
one arm.
Kangaroo.
Final pose. Final pose.
Say anything caps off, but do not stop learning. I'm Van Lathan Jr.
They've been off since you hit the ray gun. I'm Rachel Lynn Lindsay. Bye, guys.